Hey, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And I guarantee you, unless you're doing the work, you're going to forget and you're going to wake up not feeling so AFA. So we're here to remind you, that you are absolutely fucking amazing exactly as you are. You need to understand this. You need to grasp this. There is no one more important than you, and you doing the internal work to heal what's going on, right? Just whatever's going on in your mind isn't going to only help increase the quality of your life, but increase the quality of lives of those around you. Heal yourself, heal others, right? And we're doing it together. That's what's so beautiful. So Mark, tell everyone about this book, because this is a very, very powerful book. This is a book that not only you wrote for yourself to keep you on the AFA journey, but you're sharing your story of healing, that place of desperation, that place that you got to. And this is like amazing for men, for women. It breaks it down so simply, but I want Mark to share it because you know what? It is important. And your heartfelt, amazing story is going to save another life. Seriously. You saved your own.
That's why I wrote the book. So
there you go.
Life, boom, worth the effort, right? That's the key. Yeah. So I was thinking about, here's a good analogy. You're absolutely fucking amazing. Just like on a cloudy day, the sun is still shining. You just don't see it. It's still there. You're absolutely fucking amazing, even on your cloudy days. And even you'll have cloudy days. They'll come and then they'll go. And that's just the way it is. A lot of transformation happens, though, in those cloudy days because it gives you an opportunity to really identify, things in your life that either work or don't work. And then you can, go from there and, do the work. You got the work. You're right. The work.
It's the work.
You can't be discouraged that you experience these, negative feelings again because you're just... People are wired that way. They don't go away. I mean, we talk about healing. Yeah, we kind of create new neural patterns and we live in those as long as we can. But those old ones are still well-worn paths sitting there waiting to be, walked down again. And in some circumstances can put you in a place to where you step into that pathway and then you're in that spot again. And sometimes I used to say, well, how the hell did I get here again? But the thing is, now I know how I get there. I see it very clearly, the steps and the things.
Right.
Because and then I know what works to keep me off of that path.
Exactly. So when you're going through these cloudy days, we know the sun's there. You're all AFA, right? So how do you work through the feelings, right? How do you work through it? How do you get through those days? And what choices do you make to help you move through that? And were the choices that you made helpful and beneficial to shift that internal dialogue? Those are the questions that are really, really important because, like I said, everyone is their own best friend. You need to get to that place where here it is. This is a really good one. I love myself enough to be open and vulnerable to you, not only for my healing, but also to help others start or continue on their healing journey, right? And about walking each other home. And when you think about, here we all holding hands to walk each other home. Home is not the end. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go home. Home is in your heart. It is inside.
It's an inside job, baby.
It's an inside job. So this is what's going to lead in. I'm going to kind of lead the show, Mark, because it's important and I love you. So we need to continue the dialogue a little bit too, because there was a very, very powerful show that we did yesterday. If I have to admit myself, I thought it was badass. Yeah. It stirred emotion in me that I haven't felt in a long time. And we need to continue that dialogue about mental health, and you disclose some information. Yeah, exactly. And people want to know that you're okay. And they want to know, what did you do to get through those feelings? Because you shared, one of the quotes here in your book, which I think is really powerful. I love this quote. Sometimes I wonder if suicides aren't in fact sad guardians of the meaning of life. Now that is a really, really deep, heavy quote. And I was like, whoa, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? I just love, because you wrote this in this book, and it really, first chapter.
Yeah.
First chapter. Powerful.
Yeah. You know, I think I wanted to recognize and let people off the hook who have gone down that path, who have made that decision that the pain was great enough that they wanted to be in a different existence. I wanted to recognize that it may not be an end, but a beginning. And we talk about these things, you know, God forbid that somebody gets into that painful situation where they don't want to go on anymore. But I don't know. I've always had a very close kinship with people who are true to themselves. Right. Yeah. So that quote just really struck me as being just a meaningful quote that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than that, Sherry, that it was really a powerful quote for me to read at the time and understand that, you know, not to hate those who have gone down that path.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I completely agree with you. And it's the thing that's interesting about the quote is it brings me to, I'm going to call it two sides of the coin, right? About perception and how you can perceive someone's attempt or the actual act of suicide, right? Yeah. Being able to look at it, because here's the thing, how can you really know what someone's going through if you haven't been in that space? And so this quote,
even if you were in that space, you know, I had someone telling me, you know, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. I know how you feel. At the end of the day, you really don't know how I feel. You haven't had the same experiences. Right. You're not wired the same way as I am. So yeah, although it's nice and, you know, for someone to try to be supportive, at the end of the day, nobody really knows how you feel on the inside. That's why we talk about these things, because, you know, talking about them is much better than just keeping them on the inside, letting them fester and become, they actually take on a mind of their own, don't they?
They certainly do.
You know, being woven deeper and deeper. And that's, you know, talking about it allows you to just get it outside of your head and actually just kind of maybe see it in a different perspective.
Here you go. So here's the better thing. So interesting thing, because you're absolutely right. You know, because we've had the different experiences, right? Mm-hmm. I know what you're feeling isn't really authentic because the experience has been different. But what could be said is, if you have had similar experiences that have brought upon those similar feelings, I can identify with the feelings.
You can empathize.
Yes, sure. Exactly. But you're right. No one is walking in your shoes. No one is between here.
Nor your shoes. You're right. Yeah.
So I just want to
daily love real quick.
Let's rip into daily love. I just want to say thank you, really, honestly, you know, because it's really, really hard for men to be vulnerable, and for you to write this, like your very first chapter, that very first quote, and to share your healing journey. You're going to save another life. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah. I hope someone sticks around a little longer.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The love. Here we go. Daily love.
Daily love. And so, you know, this is another really good one, because I haven't been very gentle with myself or other people around me. And this one today is called Gentle. This is, I move through life gently.
There you go.
Like a warm breeze that softly touches the skin, I interact with the world gently. I respond to all people and situations in a calm, loving manner. I listen with an open mind and give an open heart. Today, I choose to extend gentleness to everyone I encounter, including myself. I look to God's unconditional love as inspiration for how to treat others. As I stay grounded and connected to my gentle spirit, my relationships become healthier and more secure. I feel more compassion, and I am at peace. I commit to living gently and responding kindly, creating a placid existence that blesses me and everyone in my life.
There we go. I love that. I move through life gently. I am calm and loving. So listening to that gentle spirit. So here's just a really great analogy, is when we're having those difficult moments, what voice is speaking to you? If it is the loud screaming voice that's saying, you got to do this, 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 and this. I guarantee you it is not the gentle spiritual voice. It is not. Spirit whispers loving, kind, compassionate thoughts. So really it is about that shift of perception, you know, and start
even if there's difficult things in your life that you need to address, you know, you can do it gently and kindly. You don't need to, you know, do it with anger and animosity. You can just recognize it for what it is. It either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you can, you know, you can love gently and kindly and
yeah,
you need to do
exactly. So this was really powerful. Great quote. Here it is. Ready? May I be gentle and loving. May you be gentle and loving. May we be gentle and loving together. Boom. So now, Mark, we're going to get into something. We're going to be talking about something that's a little depressing. And I hate to, because here we are. We're in the healing mode.
Cyclic vomiting? Is that depressing?
Yeah.
I think it can be.
I think it could be really freaking horrible. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about cyclic vomiting syndrome first, and then compare it to cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Wednesday, we talked about nausea, vomiting, cannabinoids, and the science behind it and how it's 96% effective. Yesterday, we went to the opposite end of the spectrum and spoke about cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. And today we're going to talk about cyclic vomiting syndrome because the symptoms are similar, but the physiology is different. And there's other comorbidities that you're not often seeing in cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. So Mark, when was cyclic vomiting syndrome first come around?
Oh my gosh, Sherry.
Yeah.
I guess people have been vomiting for a very long time. It was first described in 1882 by Samuel G. And he reported on 9 children having this who also had been diagnosed with pediatric migraines. Yeah, see? Those migraines, boy, they can give you that cyclic vomiting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Listen, what's its characteristics?
So it's characterized by recurrent episodes of literally incapacitating, intractable nausea and vomiting. Ooh. And it's interspersed with times of symptom-free intervals, like lasting anywhere from a few days to several months. So it comes in cycles. Yeah. So they have a criteria for this type of diagnosis. And basically the criteria is just, it can be a little confusing, but basically stereotypical episodes, meaning you have these nausea and vomiting episodes acutely, usually lasting a few days to a week. They go away, but they come back. And so they classify that also as you're having 3 or more of episodes in the previous year. And then, like they said, in between episodes, absence or infrequency of nausea and vomiting. And they don't really know, but what they do know is that in the pediatric setting, when these started to manifest, migraine headaches were regarded as the most important component of the CVS, of the cyclic vomiting syndrome attacks. Right? Migraines were the biggest trigger for these kids. So you need to look at this. Cyclic vomiting syndrome has been around for a long time, and cannabis isn't mentioned here at all. Right? So this goes to demonstrate that this is, at this particular time, children that are manifesting with this disorder are not using cannabis. So this is one of the characteristics that's going to differentiate between the two.
Definitely, as we can see now, looking at it through a different lens, it's definitely related to the endocannabinoid system.
Yes.
Because we know that migraines are a manifestation of an endocannabinoid system deficiency in something that's often in that system. And so now looking through that lens, we say, starts to make sense.
It does, right? Yeah. So you think about these cyclic vomiting attacks that are happening in these kids, what they've shown that the migraine headaches were an important component of it. You know, we talked about it on a lot of our previous shows, 2001, 2004, and again in 2016, Dr. Ethan Russo had clinical evidence to support clinical endocannabinoid deficiency, with migraines being one of the primary components of it, you know, irritable bowel, fibromyalgia, migraine headaches. And as we've talked about before, Mark, they all have unifying pathophysiology.
Yeah. So, you know, all of those things that we notice that they have together are just more clues as to where where these problems originate from. We still don't know,
Right.
but it gives us pointers to do more research and studies to figure it out.
Right.
So yeah,
Exactly.
so they have these same unifying physiological trends, right?
Trends.
So it's
Yeah.
they all manifest hyperalgesic states. In other words, your extreme sensitivity to pain. They're clinically diagnosed based on subjective criteria, right? What do we call those?
Diagnoses of exclusion.
That's right.
Exclusion.
So we exclude everything else that it could possibly be, and we're left with must be this.
Right.
And so there's a lack of tissue pathology, right?
Yep.
Can't do a test on any of the cells and say, oh, you definitely have this. No
Right.
way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And no lab findings, right? No really
Right.
objective laboratory findings.
Right.
And mostly it's based on what is the patient telling us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So knowing that, stepping into cyclic vomiting syndrome in adults. So we just talked about children and the correlation of migraines. So cyclic vomiting syndrome in adults has severe abdominal pain with nausea in the vomiting cycles. Migraine headaches in adults contributed up to 30% of the group. 13 to 14% of the patients were in the study referred for this had unexplained nausea and vomiting, but had that CVS thing as the etiology. And not all of these patients smoked cannabis. So the literature review in 2012, 42% of patients were cannabis users. So here you go. You have 100 people that are being diagnosed with cyclic vomiting syndrome. 42% of them were cannabis users. The other 68%, sorry, I can't do my math, right?
Yeah,
We're not.
Whatever that number is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is the difference. So with cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, every patient is using cannabis. Yes. And that is how whereas cyclic vomiting syndrome, no, less than half.
Something else is at the root cause.
Exactly. Yeah. So the literature review also showed in one report that 5% of chronic users of cannabis, they felt that this may have been the cause of their cyclic vomiting syndrome. Mm-hmm. And here's the other important fact. In some patients that have cyclic vomiting syndrome, cannabis can make it better or it can make it worse. And so they really don't know how and why, what population that happens with. So they have not established.
Isn't it amazing? It's so hard to determine these things because, my God, we talked about it earlier. We're all unique in the expression, our genetic expression and, our receptor expression, which changes, by the way, based on disease state and things that are going on in your body. Your body pops up receptors and then they're gone. So
exactly.
Yeah. So it's hard to really drive down to a definitive answer that says in all cases, this is how it manifests.
Yeah. So what I really liked too is in the literature, it's stated in big bold letters that it has not been established that cannabis is a causative or triggering agent in cyclic vomiting syndrome.
That's right.
Difference, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Yes. That is a common occurrence. Causation or correlation does not mean causation, right? That's the important thing. It's just going to make us think. So for cyclic vomiting syndrome, Mark, what are some of the traditional treatments?
So, they use the tricyclic antidepressants, those are used off label for a lot of different things, right? Yeah. So it's amitriptyline, which is used to treat migraines, is also used for this. Anti-anxiety agents like Ativan, the wonderful benzodiazepines. So, Sherry, what about holistic treatments? What's out there?
Oh, there's a ton out there. All of that, I'll just go right to endocannabinoid system. You think about all the different tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs we've given you on nourishing your endocannabinoid system. So all of these holistic wellness healing modalities, some people use cannabis with good results, and some people use cannabis and it doesn't help. So it's a hit or miss, but it's really important to pay attention to these symptoms because they can over time be life-threatening and affect other multiple organ systems through dehydration, muscle wasting, electrolyte imbalances, and it affects other systems. So there are similarities between cyclic vomiting syndrome and cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. The similarities, okay, so the research has said that some of the similarities make a case that cannabis hyperemesis syndrome is a subset of patients that have cyclic vomiting syndrome. So they kind of fall in. But there's a huge difference. Huge difference has to do with gastric emptying and comorbidities. Right. So with cyclic vomiting syndrome, there's rapid gastric emptying. Right. Cyclic vomiting syndrome. Cannabis hyperemesis syndrome is delayed gastric emptying.
Yeah, nothing moves.
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
And so then I know it is really interesting. And then the other thing is that cyclic vomiting syndrome has comorbidities of migraines and other mental health disorders, which is indicating a clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. You don't see that as readily or as much with cannabis hyperemesis syndrome because generally the population of patients is much younger. So it's really like just an interesting concept to think about, right?
It is.
Yeah. So, here's the bottom line. Like the bottom line is we're all learning.
Line, Sherry?
I like to get to bottom line. We're all learning. We're all learning. And the goal of cannabinoid therapeutics for medicine is to take the least amount to get the perceivable effects to manage symptoms. Bottom line, cyclic vomiting syndrome. Some patients use cannabis with the disorder.
Yep.
While all cannabis hyperemesis syndrome patients are using cannabis. Cannabis is the identifying theme, meaning that you can't have cannabis hyperemesis syndrome without using cannabis. Boom.
Hence the name.
Hence the name. Exactly.
Yeah,
so this is, so, pay attention to you. This is an opportunity for you all to learn. This is a great opportunity to learn about the plant and the biphasic nature. And the goal of cannabinoid therapeutics is to use this plant to support and nourish your own endocannabinoid system, right? For that, to bring your body more into balance, to be able to adapt to stress, to bring upon that resiliency, to calm those neurotransmitters, to get you into a place that your body's optimally functioning, right? And so you need to pay attention to these things if you're managing symptoms of nausea and vomiting, both ways, managing it, and then if it develops when you're using cannabis. Just something to think about. We love you. And the reason why we talk, you guys all know me. I'm a big fan of cannabis. Big fan. However, I have a ethical, moral, legal obligation to share with you all things that could possibly go wrong.
Right. We got to give both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Knowing that the coin is not real anyway, right? I always like to just point that out. We think we know a lot about what's going on. We don't know much of anything at all. I mean, it really is that complex, and we're trying to figure it out from within the thing anyway. So that in of itself is an issue, right?
Right. Yeah. So, absolutely. Yeah. So everyone, go gently today with your gastrointestinal system. Go gently. And while you're going gently.
That was Dylan Thomas. Yes.
What do we got going on down below here? And Mark, we got a community.
There is a holistic, caring community going on.
It is really good. We found our home. And I want to give a big shout out to Elizabeth Mack. She had amazing. I attended my first mastermind.
And I missed it. Oh my God. Because,
we're
together.
We're getting together.
I don't know where to look.
We got to sync calendars.
On my calendar, and I'm like, "Oh, my calendar's free. I'm going to go."
It is. Well, here we is. Well, here's the other thing, Nurse Mark. The part that's interesting too is there's 2 different time zones. So here we have. I call it Eastern time and Western time. Right. And so the time changes, and then Central time and Mountain time. And Jesus, we got to figure out. So it can be a little confusing, but we're going to sort that out today. We're going to get the calendars all synced up. But the bottom line. The Green Nurse Holistic Caring community is a great place to go. It is completely 100% off of social media. It's private. It's uncensored. There are cannabis nurses providers that specialize in the endocannabinoid system. There is a free course, introduction to cannabis course. You can come in there. There's modules, our podcasts, progressive tools, articles.
There's puppies in there too. Yeah, there's cute little puppies that, well, if we don't, do we have puppies, Sherry?
I know we can bring one in. We can, hey, you know what? There's an article on pet health. And
well, there we go. Well, if we don't have puppies yet, everybody, we're going to get some.
They're on their way.
They're on their way. That's right. All rescue dogs that would be happy to be in the community. And,
exactly. Yeah. And we're going to be happy to have you all. So please join. It's really come in. We're doing some great stuff. We care about you. We want to educate and empower you. You know, we're there for you. We're there to answer any questions. It's a great place to go. I'm in the community all day long. I pop in, say hi, boop, boop, boop. It's a good place.
Well, you're a good place. Mover, Sherry.
What was that?
I said you're a shaker and a mover.
Oh, you got to see me
everywhere.
Yesterday. Oh my God. We'll just end with this fun segment. Carrie Lee took me out. You know, I have a really freaking hard time sometimes taking care of myself, like giving myself those little treats and pampering. And so she's like, let's do a mani-pedi. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got so much to do between those 2 hours. And it's like, no, we're going. So we went and it was, I had tinfoil on my nails to take this goo off. And there I am with my phone and the tinfoil nails, you know, literally with my knuckles doing a quick little social media post. And she
of course you were.
She's like, you just don't stop. And I go, but I'm relaxing.
It's exactly right. Now, are we going to start to see some social media posts when you're pooping? Like you'll be in the bathroom and be like, hey, it's really going well in here. The endocannabinoid system is working.
It's working.
No? Yes, maybe. I don't know. Puppies, pooping, everything. We got everything here on the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Show. That's right.
Absolutely. So, Mark,
I'm glad you had some time for some self-care. You should do more self-care. Sherry.
I know. Well, I tell you, I'm putting some stuff on my calendar, and I'm really excited about it. Green Nurse on the go. Boom. Right? Yeah. Gonna start living. Yep. So, anyways, Mark.
Great. Yeah.
This has been an awesome show.
Oh, it has been a great show.
You know, you're absolutely fucking amazing.
I know. Thank you so are you. And so are all of you who are listening.
Yes. Thank you all for showing up.
Popping up some comments and stuff.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We love you guys.
We do love you guys. So share the love, share the show. Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah. And listen, today is Friday, July 23rd, 2021. It is the only one of these you're going to get. Yeah. What are you going to do? Something gentle, something kind, but something. Make it something good. Yeah. Because Sherry, what is it really all about?
Oh, gosh, Mark, it is about living your best life and helping others do the same. We all deserve to feel good. We love you.
Love you guys.